أهلا بكم مرة أخرى. Welcome, Janice Atkinson, member of European Parliament for South East England. We've seen the report now on trying to go all this technology with electricity and banning of diesel cars. And as we actually look at, you can see this cartoon here, 10 years ago telling people buy diesel, now telling us scrap diesel car.
It's madness. I mean, the actual title on the cartoon is toxic emissions. I think this is a pretty toxic...
I think it's camera up there will show toxic emission. Yeah.
I think this is a sort of pretty toxic pie-in-the-sky policy from the government. What it actually means is that we're going to have to scrap 9 million cars in 22 years. I've just personally bought a diesel.
Who's going to pay for that?
Who's going to pay for that? Well, we are. Of course, it's going to be loaded on the taxpayer, because this is the green agenda coming out. It's not just being forced upon us by the EU anymore, it's actually being forced on us by a Conservative government, and that's quite a disgrace.
And on this, I still can't get my head around it. Yesterday, someone knocked on my door to read the meter. I said, I want for an intelligent meter. I said, what does it mean? Smart meter. I said, what does it mean, smart meter? He said, read your meter, internet to the electricity company. I said, no, I don't want it. Go away. They said, your freezer will be switched off in peak hour. I mean, would you trust them?
No, I wouldn't trust them, because if we're already at capacity on the national grid, even if we build Hinkley Point, which is not scheduled to come on.
This is the nuclear power station.
This is nuclear power station. We're not on track to actually get that up and running. We're paying foreign companies to do it anyway. And even if we swap all the cars, all these 9 million cars over to Hinkley Point, we still can't cope. I mean, one of the main premises of having a government is to keep us safe. And if the electricity goes down because we've closed our coal-powered. Yeah, that's.
Coal-powered station.
Can we cut that one?
Don't worry, there's a video.
Yeah. So we've actually had to shut our coal-powered power stations because of an EU directive. So where's all this electricity going to come from? Is it going to be wind power that's actually?
Wind power. What happened in? I think I understand, because you were in the Parliament, European Union, and asked these questions. My understanding is wind power station will need to have another gas power station on a standby next to it.
Yeah, of course.
So it's people having operation in hospital or something. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. What is the European Parliament power in correcting this nonsense?
Well, once we come out of the European Union, we can set our own green agenda. But I'm afraid that this green agenda is the wrong agenda to go down, because we haven't got the capacity, because we've had to shut our coal-fired power stations.
In the current setup, actually, do the members of European Parliament like you have actually the power to change this nonsense? No power.
You can't repeal anything, because once it's actually voted upon, it automatically goes onto our statute books. And so 75% of the laws over in Parliament automatically come down from the EU, and we have no chance to repeal this. That's why we're having the Great Repeal Bill. So eventually we can repeal some of this nonsense. But have you known a government that's repealed anything?
No, it hasn't yet. But also the Liam Fox in the United States said that we're going to have trade deals with America. We can't do that unless we're out of the United States, of the European Union. But they're making this fuss about the chicken coming from America.
I mean, the BBC are actually obsessed by this. They hate the fact that we're coming out of the EU.
For 3 days now, talking about chicken.
3 days. We should be grateful that we are having a free trade deal with the most powerful country on earth. You know, the most powerful economic entity on earth as well. We should be really grateful for this, instead of knocking Trump and a free trade deal. Actually, when you go to America, and I've been to America 3 times in the past year, I don't actually think about the chicken I'm eating. And there was another piece on the BBC last night that said, well, actually, they've had a professor from America. They said there's very, very little. It's a very, very small percentage of chicken that's actually
That's the chicken putting chlorine to kill the bacteria. Okay, let's talk now about the Prime Minister on a holiday. This is the kind of thing that my mother, God bless her soul, would have reprimanded one of my sisters if she appears in a dress like this.
I feel sorry for Theresa May. You know, as a professional woman, we have our uniform when we go to work, and then we dress down on holiday. She's got the world's press pack behind her. It's a shame. It's hot where she is, but I don't actually worry about her.
Italy, yeah.
It's in Italy, and it's hot out there at the moment. And I don't worry about her dress sense. She should have a rest, absolutely, but she probably can't because they're plotting and planning to oust her behind the scenes. But what I worry about is that last holiday she went on, when she came back again, she called a general election. We nearly had a Marxist sitting in number 10. So I really worry about that. She needs a rest, come back and make Brexit happen.
Yeah, God knows what she might come with an idea. Perhaps she's in Italy. We should make her an offer she can't refuse. That's a good point to take a break here. Let's take a break. نعود بعد هذه الاستراحة إليكم. الآن عودة إلى ضيفتنا. Welcome back to Janice. We've just been talking about Princess Diana and William and Harry. Well, I love those young princesses, but one of them is going to be our next, king after Charles. Long live the Queen. What's happening to the British character and the money? Why are we talking about this emotional nonsense?
I don't know. I think they're quite nice young men, but I'm fed up with their bleating. They're very privileged. Just get on with the job that you're paid to do, that the taxpayer actually pays you to do. We don't sit there and pay for your bleating and your outpouring. We know your mother died. It's 20 years ago. She actually died on my birthday, and I woke up to find that. And it was very, very sad. It's very sad to leave two young boys because they're roughly the same age as my children. But you know, get on with your job. And then we'd respect you even more. And let's face it, if they've got a few mental health issues, they can afford to pay for the counselling. The rest of us have to queue up at the NHS.
But Harry did very well. I remember I covered the story when he was in the army in Afghanistan. William is doing well. He's got a well-brought-up girl for a wife. I mean, Her Majesty the Queen, 90, she never complains. I mean, she works very hard. I mean, why don't they? I mean, is it society? I have a feeling they've been pressurised to come up with this emotional...
It's indulgence. It's the media encouraging them to do this and saying it's the right thing to do. You'll be helping others. I don't think they are, because their lives are so very different from the others. But then again, maybe they're a bit tainted by their father's indulgence. He's a very indulgent, self-serving man, and I think a bit of that is rubbing off on the boys. They should have more. They should take better cognizance of what their grandmother does.
The grandmother and Prince Philip, I mean, with his great sense of humour, which I'm going to miss.
Fantastic people.
And also, I just wonder if it is sort of the guilt feeling about it. But anyway, it's just the whole change in society. There's actually another story which probably will show the viewers in the editing. With the minister of one of the ministers, she wants to get people to choose their gender. You're writing a book about gender.
I'm writing a book called The Gender Agenda. It comes from the right, it comes from the conservative point of view. And what really worries me about this is Justine Greening is the gender equalities, or whatever her title is. It really worries me that this is a Conservative government doing this. They should not be fiddling around at the edges on these issues that the majority of the people are not interested in. You know, there are two sexes.
They're actually giving people, just to explain to the viewers, the right to say, oh, I'm born in the wrong body. I'm a man, I want to be a woman. I'm a woman, I want to be a man, which we actually covered in the previous thing.
Look, if you're born a man, but you're a homosexual, then you're a man. If you're a lesbian, you're a woman. You can't change that. And even if you cut off your private parts, you are still a man or a woman. I think what worries me is that we're going to be producing a lot of confused young people. And I just hope that she's increased the NHS budget for mental health budgets, because we're going to
have... As if we haven't got sort of enough to spend on with the...
Yeah. What's the role of government? It's to keep us safe. It's to close our borders. It's to look at health, education.
Because you're writing a book. You're writing a book on drugs as a family guide to drugs. Tell us a bit about it.
It's a guide for parents, because there actually isn't a guide for parents out there. There's loads of information that tells them what to do if their child does become involved, or there's a lot of information to say, well, you're going to take drugs, so here's how to lessen the impact of the drugs. This is going to be quite a hard-hitting book with some quite hard-hitting policies at the end of it, because the UK policymakers of not getting into grips with the drug epidemic.
It's a worldwide issue, actually, not just in Britain. Let's see the last story. ختام مشروع الإكسبريس السريع اللي بيربط شرق وغرب جنوب إنجلترا تحت لندن، طبعا مدينة قديمة لقوا فيها مقابر مدفونة. إلى جانب أخصائي الآثار أجروا حانوتية يشيلوا جثث الأقدمين. المهم المرة دي لقوا نعوش حجر مثقلة بالرملة. You follow the story on the cross rail. They've been finding all these dead bodies and all these archaeologists. But apparently they came through quite a few hundreds of the coffins is covered in another boxes with heavy stones and sand. They've been body snatchers.
Yes, the invasion of the body snatchers done in medieval times and later. It's fascinating, isn't it? Because back then you weren't allowed to have bodies for medical science.
Yeah, that was sort of the 10th, 19th century when Vedic started. And so they actually were paying people to buy body.
And dig them up and then put the coffins back down again. It's fascinating what's actually being uncovered as Crossrail and other buildings are being taken down and they're going deeper down.
Okay, a very intelligent lady like you, predecessor, also an author, Mary Shelley, who came up with the Frankenstein story. I wonder if you're part of that story, she's been inspired by that. Body snatching and electricity.
Yeah, absolutely.
From God. Well, we thank Janice Atkinson very much for that. And we must actually tell the viewers about your book on the guide for parents how to make sure the children do into drugs. هذا كل ما عندنا وإلى اللقاء في الأسبوع القادم. Goodbye.